Hi guys, good morning. This is KP from INVESTOWISE. Hope all of you are doing really good. So, as we are aware about how things have become so wild and haywired for the telecommunication sector, so I thought why not just do a quick video on the telecommunication sector, and I'll be doing a very in-depth analysis of telecommunication sector, of how things have been in the last 4 years. Technically, from the time when Reliance Jio was launched for the first time, way back in 2016 in the month of September. From that day onwards till today, whatever has happened, I'll give you a small summary of it and what is in stores for these companies, what is the fortune of these companies going forward, and finally I will give you my recommendation on these stocks, whether you should buy them, if you already have them, what should be done with those shares. I'll give you all those suggestions. So basically the story started in 2016. Before 2016 September, mainly there were two companies which were almost having a duopoly market. One is Airtel and one is Vodafone. We all are aware about it. We were paying a hefty amount for the data charges, we were paying hefty amount for the phone calls. At least now we feel hefty when we compare it with what we were paying couple of years back. 2016 September, in one of the AGM, Mr. Mukesh Ambani comes and proposes about launching his new project of Jio SIM cards and how they will make the services free from October 2016 onwards up till March 2017. That was their first plan, that they will keep the services free. And the whole idea of this company was basically to pull in as many subscribers as possible. And that is when the moment this AGM was done, I still remember the very next day, Reliance was trading in 2016. I'm saying Reliance was trading around 960 rupees at that point of time, which was its 52-week high. Idea was listed in India at that point of time as Idea Limited. Idea stocks were close to 135 rupees. They fell by around 10 to 15% on that day. And the stock of Reliance was trading close to 525, 530 rupees, which also fell by around 10 to 15% in a couple of days' time. The whole reason, the whole logic for the stocks to fall was very simple and obvious, that if Jio is coming up with something so promising as told by Mr. Mukesh Ambani, then obviously there will be a shift of customer base, subscriber base from Airtel and Vodafone to Jio, which is looking very obvious because of the prices which Reliance was promising was far more competitive when compared to what Airtel and Vodafone were charging. In fact, I would like to say it like this, that without Jio being in the market, there was almost a cartel kind of a thing, CARTEL as we call it, where both the companies were enjoying their own markets and they were charging as they wished to, okay, with very less regulatory interruptions at that point of time. In 2016, end of 2016, stock of Idea was trading close to 100 bucks, 800, 105, 110. That was the movement. Airtel came down around 475 rupees. During this time, Reliance was continuously going up and up based on how they were implementing their project. So from 2016 to 2020, if we now see first about Reliance, the company which has faced the least number of hiccups, least number of trouble from the telecommunication authorities, the regulators, is Reliance Jio. So let us first speak about Reliance Jio. Reliance Jio shares are named as Reliance itself, you know that. The share was trading around 880 rupees in the year 2016, September. From that, the share went up to 2000 rupees, 2200 rupees. As of date, after 2200 rupees, the stock has given the bonus issue has been done in the ratio of 1:1. After this bonus issue, the stock obviously X bonus it will become, the price came down to 1100, 1150, and then each shareholder who was having one share of 2200 will now have two shares of 1100. After 1100, the stock went up again and the stock went up to as high as 1600 rupees, which means not just the subscribers of Reliance have been happy, but even people who invested in the stock of Reliance have made some good returns, seriously good returns, which is stock from all the way to 880. Is if we consider the bonus impact, okay, then the stock is today trading close to 3100 rupees, which is a massive 4 times upside which people have enjoyed. 2017 at around 1700 rupees the stock was trading when we have given a strong buy recommendation on Reliance on InvestorWise. For a period of 6 months to 1 year time, it was posted as a general recommendation on the InvestorWise page for 1700. So from 1700 also, if you see, the stock has gone significantly up. As far as Airtel is concerned, now obviously what is the option left for Airtel and Vodafone is that they will have to cut down their prices in India, and obviously all these secondary level of companies like Idea, or you had Aircel, you had Tata Telecommunication. These are some of the other companies which had to cut down their prices if they wanted to stay in the business, because they were competing a giant like Reliance Jio. So they started cutting down on their prices without having proper strategies in place. Once they panicked and they had to cut down on their prices, they cut down on their prices. Obviously, they could sustain the user base, with some user base obviously being lost. They could sustain some of their subscribers, loyal subscribers as you can say them, but at the cost of suffering huge losses. And when obviously losses will be there, then the shareholders are not going to take it in a positive spirit, because losses can be taken only for a particular short span of time, but not over a period of time, because the future of the company is looking bleak if they are suffering losses back to back. That's what exactly happened. Their EPS was continuously going down. They were drying up their profits. They were sitting on too much of debt. That is another big scary situation. If you see the total debt of Airtel and Vodafone, it's humongous. It's very high. I will come to those points later on. Right now, I'm just giving you a brief summary about everything. Now, when you have too much of debt, your profits are shrinking. Not a very good news for the shareholders. So people started selling the shares of these two companies with great price pressure coming from the supplier's side. As a result of this, the price of Airtel went down to as low as 270 rupees. Mind it, from 2016, the price was 535, 540 rupees. It came down to 270 rupees. Idea, on the other hand, it also fell down to 80, 82 rupees at that point of time. 2017, another MNC, that is Vodafone, they decided this is a good opportunity. In the meanwhile, companies like Aircel, Reliance Communication, Tata Telecommunication, these companies have shut down their operations. They could not sustain the losses for long, and they could not even compete. They could not come up with the a technology which can help them sustain the market. So they have shut down their operations. So basically, we had four main participants left in the market: Vodafone, Idea, Airtel, Reliance. Reliance is living its life like king size. They were the giant elephants in the market. Airtel was operating independently. They have sustained the losses. They had good money backup, so they were able to sustain the losses and retain their subscribers. Vodafone thought this is a great opportunity to buy the business of Idea, and at least some competition will be reduced, plus they can enjoy better pricing power, plus they can enjoy the user base of Idea. So in 2017, they proposed to buy the stock of Idea. I think, if I remember correctly, 2018 is somewhere in the mid of 2018, the deal was finally closed between Vodafone and Idea, with Vodafone taking over 45% stake in Idea. They bought a very high stake in Idea, and now the company has become Vodafone Idea Limited from 2018. Price at that time, I think the shares were bought for a range of 78 to 80 rupees, if I remember correctly. Okay, pardon me for my numbers if I'm trying to be as accurate as possible, but some of the numbers might be plus minus 2 to 3%, because I'm talking about last 4 years data with you. Okay. Now what happens is Vodafone has taken over the business of Idea in anticipation that situation will improve for them, but actually it did not happen, because from that point of time also, if you see, their losses have continuously increased over a period of time because of the tough competition which these companies were having against each other, especially with Jio having a dominant hand on all other companies. Today, the situation is like this, that the price of Vodafone stock, which is Vodafone Idea, let me call it as Vodafone, has come down to 4 rupee. The last closing on Thursday was 4 rupee 40 paise, which is 4.40 rupees per share. From 78, it kept coming down. The stock was under a lot of pressure because company was posting losses back to back, and they are sitting on a very high debt. Their debt is very high. So when the stock was trading around 20 rupees, they brought a right issue because they wanted to raise some funds from the market. The right issue was done at a price of rupees 12, after which the stock finally came down to 12 rupees, and around 10 to 11 rupees the stock was trading. At that point of time, the new problem comes in the telecommunication industry. Yes, this is where things get interesting. Last 4 to 6 months, stocks of telecommunication sector were again beaten down and under pressure because of the telecommunication authorities, that is DOT. dot, I will call it as the Department of Telecommunication. They have suddenly from nowhere they came and they started asking for their AGR payments. Okay, now what is AGR? AGR is the adjusted gross revenue. A share of the revenue of the telecommunication company will be done with the regulatories, and this share is mainly the spectrum charges, the license fee which they have to pay for the telecommunication services that they are offering. For that, companies have to pay license fee, spectrum usage charges they have to pay, and as a part of their gross revenue they generate from their subscribers, a percentage of it has to be paid to the telecommunication authorities. That's not the problem. The problem is that the amount which each company owes, especially Airtel and Vodafone, was a massive amount of money they had to pay. Like for example, Vodafone had a total liability of close to 54 to 55,000 crore. That's the amount payable by Vodafone, and the amount payable by Airtel was close to 35 to 36,000 crores. This amount they have to pay, and somehow the regulators have been very harsh in implementing the payments deadlines, and they have been told, the companies have been told to make payment of this amount on immediate basis. This drama is going on for last 4 to 5 months, and as a result of which nothing was left in the stock of Vodafone. It's almost like a dead stock, and the stock has hit its all-time low of 3 rupee couple of days back, and it's trading just at a mere 4 rupees. So if you see the time when Vodafone acquired the business of Idea, the stock was trading close to 80 rupees, but today the stock has come down to 4 rupees. Now, if I can tell you certain figures, 2016 December, because December 19 results have just been published, so I thought I will use the latest data. 2016 December, Idea has posted a loss of 395 crores. 395 crores is the net loss they have posted. 2017 the loss went up to 3400 crores. 2018 the loss went up to 5,000 crores, and 2019, that is the recent quarter results which they posted 6,500 crores of loss approximately. It is 6,539 crores of loss total, but the figure from 395 crores has gone up to 6,540 crores. Losses are on a yearly basis, losses are going up and up. So obviously when the losses are going up, shareholders won't be interested to continue holding their shares in such a company, because there will be destruction of their wealth. They don't want to hold on to such shares, and people are selling shares, creating a continuous pressure on the supply side, and as a result of which this is the price prevailing today. Plus the fear that the liability is close to 54,000 crores, which even started creating a doubt in the mind of the investors that whether the company can even sustain their business, because the situation is very delicate for this company right now, because Vodafone is sitting on a total debt of 1.2 trillion. Can you believe that? They have a total debt outstanding of 1.2 trillion. So you can understand how many banks have an exposure to Vodafone company. Number one. Number two, their existing liquidity, their total liquidity as on date is only 12,500 crores, which means the company's total liquidity that can be created from the company's 12,500 crores, which means even if they use their total liquidity, they can still not pay off their debt, because the debt is standing at 55,000 crores. So what happened is that these companies, the good news is, for Reliance, the good news is their liability was just 200 crores, and for them this is a peanut amount, and they just paid this money, 200 crores. The amount is humongous, especially for these two companies. That is, Vodafone is close to 54,000 crores, and the Airtel is close to 36,000 crores, which means two companies together owe a sum of close to 90,000 crores. Tata Telecommunication also has some liability, and Reliance taken together, the amount is close to 1 lakh crores. Okay, that's what I remember. Yeah, 1 lakh crores is the total liability taken all the telecommunication companies. These companies then started getting in touch with the regulators, requesting them that maybe they should be given some moratorium period or some period during which this amount can be amortized, and they be allowed to pay this amount over a period of time, because obviously one was the beating these companies have got because of Jio implementing a technology, and as a result of that, these people had to forcibly cut down their prices. They cut down their prices, but they were not well prepared with the technology, as a result of which they had to do a lot of cash burning. Both Vodafone and Airtel had to do a lot of cash burning. They suffered losses, but the whole idea was to sustain the subscribers and not let subscribers go to Reliance. If I can tell you about Reliance, they started their operations in 2016 with Jio. 2020, Jio today has a total subscriber base of 37 crores, which means they have taken more than one third of the total market share. 37 crores is the subscribers for Jio, which is highest for any telecommunication company across the world. No company, no network has got that many number of subscribers in any part of the world as many Reliance has. Okay. So Jio has got 37 crore subscribers, Bharti Airtel has close to 31.5 crore subscribers, and Vodafone has close to 32.5 crore subscribers, which means companies, if you even now you compare, if we don't talk about the share market and we talk about the business models, then going by the business, these three companies are well poised, which means all of them have got close to one third share, with obviously Jio having an upper hand because of the fact that their books are looking stronger when compared to these two companies. And to add insult to injury, the next thing that happens is these two companies are already going through cash crunch. They already have a lot of cash burning happening in last couple of years just to compete with Jio. And in the meanwhile, the telecommunication authorities come, DOT comes, and they start asking them to pay this hefty amount of money, which is very, very difficult for these companies to manage at this point of time. Very difficult. Okay, so last couple of months, Vodafone has lost close to 10 crores of their subscribers, where again people are contemplating that company might shut down any point of time. They may not be able to pay these dues, and as a result of which it might happen that anyways subscribers have to switch to some other network. So why not do it right away? Because of that, they have lost around 10 crores of their subscribers already. Okay, so now coming to this part of the discussion. Basically, they have gone to the regulators. Regulators have not given them any excuse. They have told them this is the amount payable. You got to pay this amount right away. Then they have approached the Supreme Court also, but Supreme Court has again, unfortunately for these two companies, Supreme Court has given a verdict against them, and they have told them that they got to pay this amount ASAP. Some deadlines have been given, like both these companies were told to pay some amount within this week. Airtel has paid close to 10,000 crores out of their total dues, and Vodafone has paid 3,500 crores out of their total dues. And the remaining amount has to be paid latest by March 17. As on date, this is what has been told to these companies by Supreme Court. March 17. Under any circumstances, Vodafone won't be able to pay that amount. We are very sure about it. And Vodafone, which is the chairperson is Kumar Mangalam Birla, he is constantly in talks with the Department of Telecommunication. And he's also talking to other government authorities where he's trying to convey his message clearly that they want to sustain the business, no doubts about it. But if the department is so harsh on them, then they might have to shut down their business in India. They have to shut down their Indian operations. It's an MNC, it will continue their operations in other parts of the world. But in India, Vodafone Idea has to shut down their operations. That's not very clearly said, but an indication or a hint about it has been given. In the meanwhile, Airtel has told it very clearly that if they're allowed deferment, it's good. But even if they're not allowed deferment, they can still manage to pay this amount. In fact, recently Airtel has done a qualified institutional placements, what we call as QIP in short, and they raised $3 billion from this QIP, and that money can be used to pay the dues to the DOT. So Airtel can pay their dues, but Vodafone has told very clearly they might not be able to pay the dues right away. Yes, they are willing to pay these dues, and they will do that over a period of time. Now the $1 million question comes is, would Vodafone shut down their operations in India? If you ask me, for my analysis, I would say probably they are trying their level best to sustain their business in India. But at the same time, when we say we have a good rate ranking in ease of doing business, we should implement that for companies like Vodafone also. We can't just use the numbers of ease of doing business for political motives. We got to understand, and we need to protect the interest of the companies which are having a genuine intent to continue the business operations in India. Vodafone is one of such companies. Vodafone has paid 3,500 crores in last 1 week, which is a clear indication about the fact that they have bona fide intentions and they do want to continue with their operations in India. That is very clear, number one. Number two, there is out of this, as I told you, there is a total of 1 lakh crores of dues. If you break this amount, out of 1 lakh crores, 22,500 crores is the only amount which is payable towards the license fee. 22,500 crores, which means the rest of 77 to 78,000 crores is payable as interest or penalties. Have we not heard this in the past where interest and penalties have been waived off? Is this for the first time they will do that? Is this for the first time they will allow some companies to pay this money over a period of time? This can be very well done. It's not about Vodafone being excused from making payment of the amount. It's not about that. They're just trying to buy some time. They are all that they are asking for is to get some time for making payment of this amount, which means at least what the government could do is they can allow them to make the payment of the license fee, which we can consider as a principal amount which they got to pay. That's an obligation for the company. But at least the 77,000 crores, which is like 1/3 of the total liability, which is payable towards interest and penalty, at least that amount can be allowed to be amortized and paid over a period of time, which can give some relief to these companies. Next is if Vodafone is not continuing with its business operations, then there is the jobs at stake will be more than 13,000. 13,000 people will become unemployment. Average family size, even if we assume 4 people are there in the family, you can understand 13,000 into 4. We are here creating problem for more than 50,000 people. We need to consider these factors. We can't turn a deaf ear to all these factors. Plus, if Vodafone is not being given any excuse by the department, they might have to file for winding up. They might have to apply for bankruptcy. If they do that, you need to understand, as I told you, they have a total debt of 1.2 trillion rupees payable in India, out of which the total exposure to the banks is 250 billion of rupees is the total bank debt, with exposure of SBI, IndusInd Bank being very high. If bankruptcy is being filed by Vodafone, you can understand clearly that the bank's situation will be precarious. Banks will have to write off their assets, and the non-performing assets for the bank will shoot up, which is again not a great sign. And to add to that, the Indian fiscal deficit, which is in the range of 3.5 to 3.6% of the GDP, Indian fiscal deficit will slip by 40 basis points, which is 0.4%. Only if Vodafone goes out of business, the Indian fiscal deficit as a whole will come down by 0.4%, which is 40 basis points. Keeping all these points in mind, chances are very less that department will be completely intolerant and inconsiderate about these companies. They got to give some solution to this. We are expecting, if you ask me, if you ask us, we feel that at this point of time, we feel that chances are very high that some kind of moratorium period or some kind of waiver of the interest or penalties or some benefits will be passed on to the company at this point of time. A reliever will be given. Another twist in the story is the companies like Vodafone and Airtel have challenged the very method which has been used for calculation of AGR. And the AGR basically comprises of 3 payments: license fees, spectrum charges, and the revenue sharing model. But actually this AGR has been calculated, as the allegations have been put, the department has made wrong computations of AGR, where they have also included any interest income, dividend income, profit on sale of assets, okay, and the forex gains, insurance claims. Even these they have included as part of AGR. Actually, profit on sale of assets, insurance claims, interest, dividends, these things are not to be taken in computation for AGR share of the department. As far as TRAI, that is Telecommunication Regulatory Authority of India, and TDSAT, that is Telecom Dispute Settlement and Appellate Tribunal, these two are concerned. They are also in favor of the companies, saying that yes, there has been some mistakes in AGR computation by DOT, which means if AGR is recomputed, then it might happen that liabilities will drastically come down for these two companies. And as per company's allegation, if AGR computation is done correctly, then Airtel would have a total liability of anywhere between 15 to 18,000 crores and not 36,000 crores, which means their liability will come down by at least 50%. And for Vodafone, instead of 54,000 crores, their liability should be anywhere between 18 to 20,000 crores, which means the liability will cut down by 60%. So even if they rework on their numbers, then maybe the liability will come down, and then we can see some revival in these companies' stocks. Number 2, A deal happened in way back in 2012 between Vodafone and Hudson, in which the department first wanted, income tax department, they wanted to tax Vodafone for this, but later on the judgment was given in favor of Vodafone, and they have a 7,000 crores of tax refund due from the department. 7,000 crores of tax refund due from the department. Vodafone, again with a very good intent, they have told the DOT that if they want, they can make adjustment of the AGR payments against this tax refund. They don't want that tax refund amount. They can make adjustment of that, and only net amount they should be made to pay. All in all, if you ask me, we see only good vibes and we see only good aura all around, where companies actually genuinely trying to continue with their operations and not shut down. All thanks to the reputation of Birla Group. And if I feel if there was some other company instead of Vodafone, probably they would have preferred to file bankruptcy and run away from this country with so much of hardships they are facing. Situation is now coming to the investment advice on these three stocks. If you ask me for Reliance, if you look for long term, I feel Reliance is still a good buy, but I feel at this point of time a fresh buy, I would personally say it's not strongly recommended, because the stock is already trading very high. Plus Reliance wanted to introduce Jio as a separate entity. They wanted to file for IPO, but that was rejected by the authorities and the regulators. They were not allowed to do that. Second, for me, one negative in Reliance is that they are sitting on a very high debt. If you go to their balance sheet and check their debt, they have lakhs of crores of rupees of debt. It's okay, they are earning good money, so they are able to pay their interest, but we all know interest obligations is a kind of dual-edged sword, because till the time you have good money you can pay your debt, but once you are having any shrinkage in your profits, you may not be able to pay your interest on debt. Number three is, somewhere you have to stop cash burning and you need to start making profits, and the same thing happened. Reliance also has to increase their tariff, which they did. Actually, they had to increase their tariff, and just to sustain some profits and not suffer any further losses in the business of Jio. And that is where, once Reliance has started charging a higher tariff, the companies are almost like standing at par, and then it will depend on who can offer better quality services. So network being like going for a failure, or network drop downs will happen. There is call drops happening. So all those factors will start coming in. A user has to be satisfied, not just at the price front, but at the quality front. If price is more or less now same for all three companies, it will be the quality which will be the testing parameter right now. Okay. So for me, I won't say that you can't invest in Reliance, but at the same time it's not looking very attractive to me. Next is Bharti Airtel. If you see for Airtel, the 52-week low for the stock is 270, the 52-week high for the stock is 560, and stock's current market price is close to 550, which means if you consider two things, number one, Jio has increased their tariff, Airtel has cut down their tariff to some extent, then again they also increased their tariff because Jio has increased their tariff, as a result of which some price happened, the price hike happened for them from 425, 430 levels, they went up to 460, 470. Then they were made to pay this liability of 36,000 crores, out of which 10,000 crores they have easily paid, and because they raised money from QIP, $3 billion, they are further saying that they will be able to pay their further dues also. Now, I don't know how people can take this as a positive. Just because company can pay their dues does not mean investing in an Airtel would be a great idea. Understand my perspective. At the end of the day, they are going to pay their dues, which is only going to make the balance sheet weak. It's not going to make it strong. Yes, there is a good sign that if they're able to pay this amount, it means they are healthy from inside. That's true. But if you need to see, the stock which traded 270 within a year is now trading at 550, and its 52-week high is 560. If you see, if I consider two things, number one, if there is any kind of waiver or any kind of excuse given from the Department of Telecommunication, Airtel will also benefit, because if Vodafone will benefit, Airtel will also benefit, which can only take its price further up, number one. Number two, if Vodafone or Airtel are not given any excuse, Vodafone probably will shut down its operations, in which case we only have two big market participants left in the market. One is Reliance, one is Airtel, in which case also Airtel is going to benefit. So for Airtel at this point of time, there is a win-win situation. But again, if you're holding on to Airtel stocks, you already have them in your portfolio, better to hold it and look for a target of 625, 630, maybe 3-4 months down the line. But if you're planning to do fresh buy, it's not wrong to do that, but at the same time, I won't say you should take very big exposure. Keep your quantity less. The last stock, okay, one more thing about Airtel is December 18, they have a standalone basis, they have done a profit of 227 crores, December 18. December 19, there is a loss of 3,400 crores for Airtel, which means you can see, okay, they can pay their dues, they can do everything, they are having good subscriber base, everything is fine. But you need to see from 270 stock has already revived up to 550, 560, which means lot of revival in the stock has already happened, recovery has happened. So again, if you do fresh buying, it's not a complete no, but don't take a very big exposure. Lastly, what about Vodafone? What is in stores for Vodafone? Bad news for Vodafone is CRISIL, Care both have downgraded the rating on the stock, okay, on the debt which these companies have. CRISIL has gone to B plus from BB. Care rating has gone to BBB minus from BB minus, which is a bad news for the company. Obviously, the rating agencies are having a negative sentiments about the company. But at the same time, the good news for the company is that compared to last quarter, they have seen a hike of 40% in their EBITDA margins, and their EBITDA has gone up by 230 crores. Earnings before interest, tax, depreciation and amortization in this quarter has gone up by 230 crores, and they posted an EBITDA of 1284 crores, 1284 crores. Number one. Number two, I always believe in something called as percentage of downside risk. Somebody buying a share of Vodafone in the range of 4 rupees, 5 rupees, the percentage of downside risk is very less because stock has traded on a higher side to 20 rupees in this year, and now it is trading at 4 rupees. The max you can lose is 4 rupees, right? Considering all the factors, what challenges the government might face if they are being very harsh towards Vodafone, the challenges they might have to face is unemployments will be there, duopoly market will get created, one MNC will shut down their operations in India. I don't know after that if you can claim you have ease of business. Keeping all these points in mind, I feel it's a 70-30 chances going in favor of Vodafone. 70% things will go in their favor. If things go in their favor, I think stock will revive very fast, and it might touch 2-digit number also. That is from 4 rupee 40 paisa last closing. We can easily see the stock going up to 10 rupees. If I talk purely from wealth creation perspective, if you buy Airtel at its current price of 550, and a lot of good things also happen, probably stock will not touch 1100 in next 2 years or 3 years time. But at the same time, if you're buying Vodafone, this 440 can easily become 880. So if purely I talk from wealth creation perspective, chances are very high Vodafone can double your wealth in no time. One good news comes and the stock will go up very fast. But at the same time, if you see Airtel, again, it's a safe counter, but not the best of the counters. If I compare the risk profile, obviously risk profile is higher for Vodafone, because if you put money in Vodafone and suppose that 30% probability of no excuse or no benefits being given to the company, no considerations being done towards the company, no waiver given, nothing done, the company might file for bankruptcy and the stock might go down to zero also. So if you're taking exposure, don't take a crazy amount of exposure like buying 1 lakh shares or 2 lakh shares of the company. Don't do that. But for sure, you can take some holding in Vodafone. If out of 3 companies I have to go for 2, I'll go for number 1 Vodafone, number 2 Airtel. Obviously, I won't recommend you all 3 because you need to diversify your money. You can't put all the money in telecommunication sector. I hope you understand diversification of your money across various sectors is very important. Okay, I hope the video has been useful. I tried to keep it close to 30 minutes, okay, because there was so much to share last 4 years. I have to give you a summary of it. If I missed something, you can mention it in the comment section below. You can add your comments and add some value to our discussion here. If you have any questions to ask, you can ask me your questions also. And if you are looking for services on one-to-one basis for investing in equity markets, you are clueless about where to put your money, please go ahead and take our services. Get in touch with me. You have my number. Please get in touch with us. We will provide you the services on one-to-one basis at very, very compelling prices. Okay, so till I come up with my next video, bye-bye. God bless all of you. Thank you.